Welcome to Arts Express. This is Prairie Miller, and on the show, it's the Christmas season, and the three wise men have appeared bearing gifts. Oh, wait, three wise guys, actually, and no frankincense, myrrh, and gold, but rather billionaires Bezos, Zuckerberg, and Sam Altman showering Trump with millions. Quote, "We'll kiss his ring and bend the knee. It has to be a lesson to the working class." Pacifica host Garland Nixon dives in.
Good evening. My name is Garland Nixon. Lots going on. Let's see. What's interesting? One of the things I like to talk about is class issues, right? Economic class. And so, these billionaires, it's funny because a bunch of them are like, yes, I hate Trump. Trump's terrible. He's the worst. He's horrible. Right now, Trump comes to power. Here we go. Silicon Valley executives, some of them who have had long contentious Trump relationships with President Trump, are pledging money and support to Trump's incoming administration. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman intends to make a $1 million personal donation to Trump's inauguration fund. It follows that Meta, the parent company of Instagram and Facebook, that's Zuckerberg, has already contributed $1 million to Trump's fund. Amazon promised $1 million. That's Jeff Bezos. These people, these billionaires who are like, Trump's terrible. He's horrible. He's the worst ever. I hate his guts. Trump won. Oh, yeah. Hey, how you doing there, Mr. Trump? Hope I wasn't out of line with those cracks about you being Hitler. Here's $1 million. Why? Because he won, and he has the power, and they don't give a crap about anything else. When they were like joining everybody, how much they hated Trump. Sure, he wasn't in power. He didn't have power. It didn't hurt them to say Trump was terrible. Right? The last 4 years, he was the worst thing in the world. 2016 through 2020, the Democrats still had like the House and the Senate, and they could impeach him and all kinds of things, right? But now, Trump's got the House, he's got the Senate, he's got the White House, he's got the Supreme Court. He has got a full hand. He's got a royal flush, right? And the Democrats are reeling. They don't know what to do. They're kind of in collapse. And these billionaires just looked at it and said, oh, wait a minute. There's the man with the power. We'll go over here and kiss his ring and bend a knee and say, brother, what do you need? They're going to all love Trump now. Because ultimately, it has to be a lesson to the working class. That when whoever the politician is, and you're told to love him or hate him, and you join, and you somehow think that these billionaires are on your side. Oh, yes, we're all Democrats, or we're all whatever it is. We're all together. We're hanging together with Zuckerberg and a bunch of billionaires. And when that very same person gets full, total horsepower, you watch. They're going to be following. It'll be Musk. He's already, he was a Democrat, right? He's hugging Trump like that's his best friend. So now, look, think about this. Silicon Valley, they were all anti-Trump. Musk, Bezos, Zuckerberg, Altman, you name it. They're all now, you're going to see them all with red MAGA hats on. You know why? Because it don't matter to them. They don't care about the policy that much. And what they do care is how they can make money. So now they're buying influence the same way whoever won. Look, let me tell you, nothing personal to them. If Kamala won, they'd all be there giving her $1 million. If Joe the plumber won, they would show up to give Joe the plumber $1 million for his inauguration, because all this rhetoric about the politicians that they like or hate is for you. When it comes down to it, the only thing they're trying to do is eat. They're trying to fill their pockets anyway, and their pockets are already filled, and they want to fill them more. So let that be a lesson to you over the next 4 years when these billionaires are trying to pretend that they somehow have solidarity with you, that they hate this politician or they love this politician. As soon as that politician gets some power, that's who they love? They love the person that's in power. That's what they love, because they're about power. They're about money. And now you're going to see, look, what's his name? The other day, Morning Joe and Mika. You know me. I'm an independent. I don't like the Republicans or the Democrats. I got no use for Morning Joe and Mika. Oh, we hate Trump. He's Hitler. He's this, he's that. Trump got elected. What they do? They went over to his Mar-a-Lago and had dinner with him. And people got mad at him. And I said, you think it was their choice? You think they woke up and said it? You think it wasn't NBC News that gave him a call and said, look, man, our ratings are going down and Trump's got all the power. I think you need to go have dinner with these guys because they're playing a different game than you're playing. They're not playing the same game. I don't know what Morning Joe makes now. I remember at one point it was $99,000 a week, but I'm sure it's a whole lot more than that now. This was years ago. He was making $99,000 a week. I don't know what he's making now, but it's a whole lot more than that. And when it comes down to it, to MSNBC and CNN and Fox and all of these people you see on TV, when it comes down to it, you watch. A whole bunch of these so-called hate Trump people are going to turn around and all of a sudden they're going to be like they're going to be just like Bezos and Zuckerberg. Because ultimately, the person with the power and the person with the money guarantees that they can continue with their privileged lifestyle. And that's what they're for. They're for their privileged lifestyle. And when the river is flowing in a direction against Trump or anybody, it ain't even about Trump. Forget Trump. When the river is flowing away from a politician, they're going to jump in that river and flow with the tide. And when the river flows back towards that politician, they're going to jump in that river and flow back towards that politician. They don't care. They'll forget. If you come to them and say, hey, I thought you said you hated Trump, they'll say, oh, nah, you must be confused. I never really said. I always liked this guy. Hey, he's a nice guy. Tells a lot of good. They'll love him. Because ultimately to them, it's not about ideology. It's not about party. It's not about I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. It's about not about none of that. It is about access to power. Can I get access to power? Because that's how I make my money. I've dealt with people, had friends that were lobbyists, and it was about access to power. It was about their Rolodex. Who could they call? Right? I know people that's the whole way they made their money. That you could say blah, 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 and they could say, yeah, I know that person. I'll give him a call. You need to talk to him? Really? You know so-and-so? Yeah, I know him well. I got his phone. I can call him right now. Oh, really? And these people made a lot of money for access because they could call very, very powerful people anytime they wanted and get them on the phone and chat with them. And if you wanted to talk to them, they could put you in touch. They could say, hey, look, I want to get in touch with Senator so-and-so. Yeah, I know him. You know Senator so-and-so? Yeah, I do. Well, you know, there's a bill coming that my company is very interested in. Yeah, oh, isn't that interesting? I'd be willing to pay you X amount of dollars. Yeah, okay, I'll get your audience with him. They make some phone calls, come back and say, yeah, call him at this number Thursday at 6:30 p.m. He'll talk to you. Or go here, stop by his office Thursday at 6:30 p.m. He's going to be between whatever, and he will he'll have an audience. You'll have 15 minutes. People pay big money for that because they got a lot of money on the line. And you think somebody who makes money dealing with access, selling their access, you think that that person cares who the president is? They don't care who the president is. They don't care who the vice president is. They don't care who the chairman of the Senate is. All they care is that they have access to that person. And so if this person is in and the other person who's in is saying who ain't in, right? The person that's in is who they love. The person says, yeah, I sure hate that Garland over there. Me too. Garland's a creep. Can't stand him. Never liked Garland. Now Garland wins and now Garland's in power. Guess what? Hey, Garland, how you doing? Yeah, what do you think about that other guy? I hate him. You know, Garland, we've always been the best of friends. Think the world of you. Why don't we have dinner sometime? We'll have it around the golf. Why? Because you're in power now. And this needs to be a lesson for those out there who have bought it, who somehow think that the people in their particular party, political party, their group, whatever, that the wealthy, rich people in that group have the same political alliances as they do, have the same political inclinations as they do. No. They have class consciousness. They have economic consciousness. And so now, if you hated Trump when he wasn't in, now Trump's in and he's powerful, you still don't like him and you still don't approve of him. But that ain't the same for Bezos, is it? It ain't the same for Zuckerberg or Altman, is it? They were big Biden fans. Now Biden ain't in, and now they ain't. And when Trump starts January 20th, I'm telling you, they'll probably show up to the inauguration day with a red MAGA hat on. Make America great again. You'll probably go to Facebook, go to Amazon. Hey, I'm going to order something, and they'll have a special. We've got a special today. Make America great again hats. What? I thought they didn't know. Everywhere. Buy one, get one free. Because he's already invested $1 million. And trust me, if he gave Trump $1 million, of course, these people, it's nothing. Bezos, Trump, here's $1 million. That, my friend, is a starter. That's just the beginning. That's just something, that's just a paltry million. Just to remind Trump, hey, Trump, we're good, man. Here's $1 million. Do what you want with it. I know you're having your inauguration party. Have fun with it. And as you know, that $1 million is just a little something amongst friends to let you know we're putting old times behind us. We're burying the hatchet. We're moving forward. All right, Trump, there's a lot more millions where that came from. Just call me, give me a buzz and we'll talk.
And coming up next on Arts Express.
Good morning, Miss Peterson. I'm sorry to disturb you so early. The court has ruled that you require assistance in taking care of yourself.
I'm fine.
I'm afraid it's not up to you to decide. The court has appointed me to be your legal guardian.
What?
You have to come with me. And remember, I'm here to help.
And what you just heard is a scene from I Care a Lot, actress Alicia Witt's award-winning, devilishly dark dramedy, just as relevant at this moment in time, about the corrupt and exploitative medical-industrial complex, specifically the notorious nursing home scam locking up seniors and stealing their assets, and in which she portrays the devious Dr. Karen, pun intended. Witt, who visits Arts Express from time to time, talks about her new holiday music and movies and her creative process musically, whether it's Christmas or not. Quote, I'm hopeful that listening to my album, I'm Spending Christmas with You, as well as other Christmas albums at this time, will help connect all of us regardless of who we voted for. Plus, her latest movie Longlegs going toe-to-toe with the apparently extra tall Nicolas Cage for the proceedings and that wild and weird encounter. First, a little from Longlegs, then Alicia Witt.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Lee. She lived in a little house with her mother, and no one ever came to visit them. No family. No big bad wolves. No anyone. One day, a man did come. A doll maker.
Just dropping off an early birthday gift. A gift from the church. You won!
The doll maker started his work. His terrible magic. The work of the devil. With a little bit of him in everyone. The doll made the little girl forget and told her where to look and what not to see. The devil wanted the little girl for his own, but her mother could never let that happen.
You could have made nice with me, but you didn't. And now that has led to all of this.
Hello.
Nice to talk to you again, Prairie.
Yeah, and hello, how are you, Alicia Witt?
I'm great.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
What are your thoughts about what your album can bring to audiences during this holiday season and during this particular time of division and turmoil in the country just after the election?
That's a beautiful question. And to me, music is the great uniter, whether it's Christmas music or not. But especially this moment, I'm hopeful that listening to my album as well as other Christmas albums at this time will help connect all of us, regardless of who we voted for, just back to not only the meaning of the season, but also the meaning of being here on Earth, being kind to each other. To me, that's really the meaning of Christmas, and I would be honored if my music helped to bring people's hearts a little bit back into a place of love and connection with each other. And also, a lot of people feel very lonely at Christmas, and I've got 2 songs on the record that try to bring some hope and magic to that feeling. It's a time when we generally miss people that have passed on or loved ones that we're no longer with for whatever reason. So on Lonely Holy Christmas and Is This the Christmas, I'm trying to bring a sense of hope and love to those that are feeling a little less than merry this time of year.
And what can you say about your new holiday album and how it's new and different for both you and the audiences?
This album has been so long in the making, ever since I started recording original Christmas songs about 10 years ago when they started being used in my Hallmark Christmas movies. I've been thinking about putting out a full-length record, and people have been asking me over the years, and I just love Christmas. I love Christmas music. I'm one of those people that listens to it all year round. So I had been thinking about this for a very long time, and it seemed clear to me last Christmas that this coming year would be the year to record it. So what I love about the record is that it truly feels nostalgic and familiar, but it also feels brand new. And that's just, I think, thanks to having had it in my head for so long, the new songs kind of presented themselves in God's perfect timing. And I had the most amazing collaborators on this one. So I feel so proud of it, and is the greatest thing I could wish for this album.
And what will you be up to for your national tour?
I've got 12 dates that are all lined up. I've got a band traveling out with me from Nashville, where I live. Mm-hmm. And I'm also in the middle of filming 2 movies. So it's probably the most chaotic season I've had in a long time, but that is a beautiful thing. And the thing I'm looking forward to the most is that 2 hours of sitting down at the piano and playing for people. That's where I feel the most relaxed and the most at home.
Now, your latest movie, Longlegs, is being considered for awards. What was it like? What was it about this film and your character, Ruth, that drew you in?
I loved her from the moment I received the script. And I could barely describe to you what it was about Ruth on the page, but I just had this spider sense that I had to play her. And I felt like it was meant to be. And I rarely feel that, because I know that in this business, there's lots of roles I read that I would like to play, that it's stiff competition out there.
What was it about her that drew you to her? For audiences who haven't seen the film.
Ruth is probably the most complicated character I've ever played. At the core of her, she is a mother that loves her daughter. And I think we can all relate to that, whether we are a mother or a daughter. And we've we've all experienced the very complicated love between a mother and a daughter. And I don't think there's any more complicated in this life. So this is an extreme example of that, obviously, because it is a horror film. But I felt that Ruth was a very real depiction of somebody who does have mental illness. I think even at the very start of her story, I don't think she's 100% in a grounded place. And then she descends into madness, but she also goes to extreme lengths to protect her daughter. And that's what I wanted to play more than anything. And I love Ruth so much. And I'm thrilled that people are getting not only the shock value of Ruth, but also the heart of her. I feel very close to her and proud of her.
And what was it like co-starring with that wild actor, Nicolas Cage?
He is absolutely wonderful to work with. What I want to point out about his performance is that as over the top as the character of Longlegs is, he gave all of us on the other side of the camera exactly as much as he gave when he was on camera as when he wasn't. So when it was time for my close-up, he was giving me full Longlegs. And that's hard on the voice, hard on the body, hard on everything. He was very unselfish with his performance, and that is the mark of the finest kind of actor. I can't wait to work with him again, I hope.
And when Alicia Witt looks in the mirror, what does she see?
I see a badass. I think, Alicia, you are doing some incredible things right now. No, just the fact that I am able to take deep breaths every day and spend time with my beloved Ernest, who comes on tour with me, who comes on set with me. Hey, that's my dog, by the way, for those who don't know. And just I'm doing a lot of stuff every day, and also preparing for the tour, just taking time to sit down at the piano every day and make sure I'm ready for this. But I've worn a lot of hats this year. So there's a lot of stuff, and it's a great mental challenge, and I'm up for it. And I'm also really looking forward to when I fly back to Nashville December 24th after my final show in Minneapolis. I think I'm just going to unplug everything and relax.
Okay, thank you so much, Alicia Witt, for joining us again on the show. And I will get the word out.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Prairie. It's so good to talk to you again. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I'm Jeremy Irons, and you're listening to Arts Express.
Coming up next on the show.
Welcome, Mystic Seekers, to Mystic Manor, where history meets mystery. A Christmas Carol isn't just a story. It's one of the most popular tales of Christmas. Dickens was deeply affected by the poverty he saw around him, particularly the struggles of children. Victorian London had thousands of impoverished children who suffered from malnutrition, disease, and lack of health care, much like Tiny Tim. Dickens visited hospitals and often used his writing to highlight social injustices, particularly the hardships facing poor children, whom he felt were innocent of society's failures. Dickens experienced poverty firsthand. When his father was imprisoned for debt, young Dickens had to leave school and work in a boot-blacking factory under harsh conditions. This experience instilled in him empathy for children growing up in poverty and may have contributed to Tiny Tim's character as a symbol of innocence and resilience. Diseases like tuberculosis and rickets were prevalent, especially among the poor. Tiny Tim's condition would have been recognizable to Victorian readers as representative of the many children affected by such conditions. Tiny Tim's character was Dickens's way of giving a voice to the children and families suffering in Victorian England, hoping to encourage readers to consider their own role in shaping a more compassionate world. At its heart is Ebenezer Scrooge, a figure so iconic that his name became synonymous with greed, who may have been inspired by actual people whose lives were consumed by wealth. It's in this world that one of the most beloved and well-known holiday tales was born. Victorian England may seem like a land of carolers and snow-covered streets, but beneath the festive glow was a world of hardship and struggle. A Christmas Carol was born from this darker side of history. So, what if A Christmas Carol wasn't just a product of Charles Dickens's imagination? The notorious Ebenezer Scrooge was inspired by real-life people who were so consumed by their wealth that they lived in squalor, and those ghostly visitors who confront him on Christmas Eve. They may be rooted in the Victorian fascination with the supernatural, a time when seances were held in darkened rooms and the dead were believed to walk among us. Tonight, we're peeling back the layers of A Christmas Carol and the real history behind the characters, uncovering the real-life inspirations behind Scrooge and his ghostly visitors. Who were these men? When we think of Christmas, certain images come to mind. Twinkling lights, festive gatherings, and the spirit of giving. But Dickens's A Christmas Carol, written in 1843, gives us another unforgettable figure, Ebenezer Scrooge, the very embodiment of cold-hearted greed. Scrooge is introduced to us as a wealthy yet miserly old man who despises Christmas and resents generosity. Dickens describes him vividly, writing that Scrooge was a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner, a man who finds joy only in the accumulation of wealth, with no concern for those around him. Scrooge's disdain for humanity and relentless pursuit of money make him a symbol of the darker side of society. But beneath Scrooge's icy exterior lies a man shaped by a lifetime of choices and experiences. Choices that mirror the obsessions of real-life figures. One man who is thought to inspire Ebenezer Scrooge is John Elwes. He was a member of Parliament in Great Britain for Berkshire and a landowner who became famous for his extreme frugality. He inherited his first fortune at the age of 4 when his father passed away. His mother, Amy, was left £100,000. However, she reportedly starved herself to death due to her extreme frugality, leading Elwes to inherit the family estate, including Marcham Park in Berkshire. Elwes was known to live in near squalor. He avoided lighting fires to save on coal, even in cold weather, and would wear ragged clothes to avoid the expense of new ones. His habits extended to refusing repairs on his properties, even when they were falling apart. Elwes reportedly ate stale, moldy food rather than purchase fresh provisions. It's said he even ate a partridge that had already been chewed on by rats. He would refuse to pay for carriage repairs, opting to endure discomfort rather than spend on maintenance. Stories suggest he would walk long distances in tattered shoes to avoid paying for transportation. Though Elwes lived before Dickens's time, stories about his extreme behavior were widely known in England and likely served as inspiration for Dickens's character of Scrooge. Another well-known inspiration for Scrooge was James Jemmy Wood, known as the Gloucester Miser. He was a banker from Gloucester, England, who became infamous for his miserly ways. Wood was also extremely wealthy, but led a life marked by intense thriftiness and eccentricity. Wood owned the Gloucester Old Bank, making him one of the wealthiest men in England. However, he hoarded his money, reluctant to spend or lend even modest sums. He reportedly lived in run-down conditions, refused to spend on proper housing or clothing, and was notoriously suspicious, often fearing his money would be stolen. Like Elwes, Wood's reputation as a miser grew into legend. His tight-fistedness was so severe that rumors of his ghost haunting his bank after his death became part of local law. Both Elwes and Wood represented the era's critique of the ultra-wealthy who refused to support public welfare or improve the conditions around them. Dickens, well aware of such individuals and their public image, likely drew upon the tales of these notorious misers as he crafted Scrooge's character.
Good evening and welcome to the UK desk for Arts Express with me, your host, Jack Clark. Tonight we explored a curious intersection of artistry, humour and a talent that most of us only encounter at a children's birthday party or perhaps in the most sophisticated corners of Las Vegas. Our guest this evening is April Brucker, a woman of many talents, actress, author, comedian and ventriloquist, though calling her a mere ventriloquist feels a bit like describing Shakespeare as someone who wrote the occasional play. So, April, thanks for joining me on the show. Just for people, listeners here in the UK and the US that may not know who you are and your work, could you briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm April Brucker. I like long walks on the beach. I like to jog. I love my dog, but you might know me as the girl who dumped her fiance for her puppets. That's right. I'm the puppet girl from My Strange Addiction.
And in terms of, because I've been reading a lot about you and your work, and you've had quite a journey from coming from Bethel Park to New York City and now Las Vegas. I mean, that's quite a dynamic journey. How have these different environments shaped your approach to comedy and ventriloquism as a whole?
Well, I'd like to say that Bethel Park made me the woman that I am today. Because the way I became a ventriloquist was I grew up without cable. So I was real cool as a kid. Grew up without cable. And when I was 13, my dad got cable because my brother was playing American football. It's what you folks in Europe call football, soccer football, you know. It was American football. Anyway, long story short, we finally got cable, and my dad hated getting cable, but hated commercials even more. So one evening, we were sitting around watching TV after one of my brother's football games, and my dad changed the channel to avoid the commercial, and there was an Edgar Bergen tribute special on, and the rest of my family members tried to talk like ventriloquists. I was the only one that could do it because I had my great-grandmother's sideways Irish smile, and poof. a Groucho Marx puppet was under the tree. And so I got active with public access. I had a show where I read bedtime stories with my puppets. And I'm so old that I sent my VHS tapes around the world to different public access stations. Then I got to New York. I went to NYU thinking I was going to be a classical actor. And one of my teachers said, "You're not a classical actor." And I said, "Well, that's good because I have these puppets." And so then, of course, I met my fiance, which was the biggest mistake of my life. He said, "It's me or the puppets." And I wanted to be a wife and a girlfriend. So I put the puppets away because I thought, well, being a ventriloquist is great, but being a wife and a girlfriend is obtainable. So then, after several long months where the relationship got worse and worse and worse, and he got more controlling, surprise, I looked under my bed and I got Mae Wilson out and I said, "Mae, I miss you." And I said, "April, I've been getting bugs, and it's not the fun kind like Kim Kardashian has, okay?" So Mae and I marched in the kitchen together, and what'd you say? I said, "Excusez-moi, April's chosen, and she's chosen me. And hell, I have a magnifying glass here, and I still can't see your..." Mae, you can't say that on FM radio. But the point is, April chose. And then from that moment on, we spent every hour that God sent trying to be the best ventriloquist duo that we could be, and my puppet collection grew. But I was still the star. And then, after performing in Brooklyn on the street, we ended up on My Strange Addiction.
Yeah, no, quite a journey for the pair of you. What I want to ask is, because you've got quite a series of puppet characters now, but you've got Donald J. Trump and others, and they've garnered international attention. But how do you navigate the fine line between the satire and social comedy, especially with how today is so politically charged in the current climate?
Well, would you like Donald J. Trump to come on and answer that?
Donald J. Trump can if he's available for an appearance.
Yes, are you available, Mr. Trump? He wrote me a hush money check. And by the way, you are very attractive. I like my Englishmen like I like my tea with my crumpets. Okay, Mae, stop making the interviewer uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, what can I say? You know, I like my tea and I like my English, and I like my Union Jack. Oh, Mae, stop making him uncomfortable, please. She does this all the time. So what are you doing later? Want to join for tea time? Mae, you get some new lines. Mae, you get some new lines. Well, anyway, Mae, don't you have to meet your sugar daddy? That's right. Hello, this is Donald J. Trump. I'm not going anywhere. And I just want to say that I'm huge. Mr. Trump, a lot of people are upset about the fact that you have another 4 years in office. Girl, you should be happy. Why should I be happy? You take rights away from people. Well, it's 4 more years of bad jokes. And actually, a funny story about him is this past summer, I went to Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention. And we got there and it was Saturday and we were going around the town, me and Mr. Tramp were. And so then Saturday, as we were headed back to the train and I was with my manager, Clinton Billups, we saw a Secret Service vehicle pull up and the lights and sirens were going and this guy runs out and we figured he just had to go to the bathroom, right? Well, anyway, long story short, that's when the now president-elect had his assassination attempt. Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. I'm not ready to hang it up and become a car shilling just yet. So anyway, long story short, we didn't know whether or not to continue because, it was like he's in stable condition. That could mean anything. Well, fast forward the next day, I find out that the presidential assassin is from my hometown of Bethel Park. And he and his parents live 3 blocks away from my parents. So it became, do I continue on and march with the RNC because Bill Maher pulled out? Well, less than marvelous. And Jon Stewart pulled out. John No-Show Stewart. So we became the only comedians at the RNC, and we're actually working on a documentary called Last Comic Standing at the RNC about our journey. It was like, where's the fine line? But Mr. Tramp, where do you think the fine line with comedy is? Well, I'm going to be huge because it's another 4 years. You're going to be huge? Yes, huge.
What I want to ask you in conjunction is, because I think this is quite an interesting one, primarily directed at you, April, is you've been vocal about challenges faced by women in comedy.
And you've got quite a unique comedy style that I don't see many doing outside of maybe Jeff Dunham, but he's in his own different world, realistically. What are some of the key obstacles you've encountered throughout your career, and how have you overcome them being a woman in comedy with such a unique act?
You get male bookers that want you to sleep with them for stage time. You get people saying women aren't funny. And then you get people saying ventriloquists aren't funny, on top of women not being funny. Then you get people saying, well, you have a strike against you because you're a woman and a ventriloquist, and blah, 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 blah. But the only thing that you can do is focus on what you can control. And the only thing I can do is make my act as funny as I can. Everybody knows women aren't funny. Okay, Mr. Tramp, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. Well, she's putting bad jokes in my mouth. Again, Mr. Tramp, thank you so much for sharing. This is what I gotta live with all the time. But, sometimes I even get heckled by my own puppets. And I'll say this. I think I'm hysterical and I'm the star. Whatever, you. You sent me a hush money check and it bounced. This is what I live with all the time. All the time.
What I found interesting was your one-woman show, The Lady and President Trump, which combined this political satire with ventriloquism. But what actually inspired you to merge these two, and where did that show come about, and what reactions have you received largely from an audience doing that show?
The first time we did it, we had somebody call in a bomb threat because they didn't like the idea of Donald J. Trump, because the reaction to him is so incredibly visceral. But then we had people love the show, and then we had people from both sides get offended. But the way I look at it is if comedy doesn't offend in some way, it doesn't do its job. If somebody likes a comedian, if everybody likes them, they're not all that creative. But if enough people like them and it's like, okay, they're funny or they're not funny, they're provoking a conversation. But it was fun giving all my puppets a role. I played the role of Kelly Ann One-Way. Okay, all right, guys, come on. But you were the star. And so, Mr. Tramp, quick question. Now that you're reelected, do you intend to build a wall? Yes, and Mexico is going to pay for it. All I have to do is go to the Western Union and pick up a money order. What could possibly go wrong?
What I want to ask you is, you've performed at various venues in Las Vegas, and obviously all the way up to the UK. Las Vegas is such a esteemed image of show business and showmanship. But what unique challenges stroke opportunities at the same time does the Vegas entertainment scene present compared to other cities you've performed in, like New York, for example?
I gotta go. My wife is calling me. Melancholy is calling me. Okay, thank you, Mr. Triumph. This is what I gotta deal with. Some of the unique challenges are in Las Vegas, and I love Las Vegas. The audiences in Vegas are so much more invested than a New York City audience. And I'm not saying New York City audience isn't invested, but in New York, you get a lot of bridge and tunnel people. You get a lot of people that see comedy, see theater. And so they're dissecting your jokes, they're dissecting you. Whereas in Vegas, they're just there to have a good time. They don't want to think. And so one classic story was this guy comes to the show, totally drunk, and he's heckling the MC, and his wife is like, be quiet, be quiet. So anyway, May and I sing Mr. Sandman at the end of our segment. And at the end of it, he stands up and he goes, oh my gosh, the puppet sings. I really do sing. And so afterwards, he buys one of our shirts, and he's in the lobby because we were selling shirts, and he passes out. If that's not great free advertisement, I don't know what is.
What I want to talk about is bring it a bit back before we talk about some more recent things, is obviously the entertainment industry has faced significant disruption since the strikes and obviously the pandemic. And I did see a segment of you actually speaking about the strikes on the news. How have these challenges affected your career specifically, and what adaptations have you had to make to actually continue performing since that are still in place?
Everything was frozen. As a matter of fact, I had a project that I was supposed to do that was frozen. April in Vegas was supposed to, and that's the show that I have where I interview people. I'm not quite as good as you, but I can dream. And I do it poolside at the English Hotel with my co-host, Steve Dennis. Anyway, that was put on ice. And so during that time, I was like, what do I do? So I thought, one, I could become a better ventriloquist. And I always believe that if you're given time by the universe, like we were during COVID, and I wrote my book, Don't Read My Lips During COVID, you should use it. But the second thing I did was with Mae Wilson, we had wanted to write a Christmas song for a long time. So I said, hey, girl, you want to make some money? And I said, yeah. I said, I want to make some money. I said, then jingle my bells and write a Christmas song. So that was the beginning of us writing a Christmas song, because during the strike ended around Thanksgiving, I was watching the Macy's Day Parade and I was like, it's been a heck of a ride. I don't feel like celebrating. And I said to my manager, I hate Christmas. And he said, well, if you want to make money, write a Christmas song. And so I said, Clinton Ford Phillips Jr., you're a genius. And I said, you're a secret genius because he saw my talent. He saw our talent. No. He saw my talent, our talent, my talent, our talent, my talent, our talent. Man, there's no I in team, but there's that me. What are you doing later? Okay, stop making the interviewer uncomfortable. Well, anyway, long story short, we wrote a Christmas song. Our producer, Costas Dino, was a sound engineer on a record that was nominated for a Latin Grammy, and we've been getting it out there ever since. But my belief is, if it wasn't for the strike, I wouldn't have been forced to get that creative, and we wouldn't have Merry Christmas, I'm so glad I didn't marry you, which is available on all streaming platforms right now. If it wasn't for the strike, we wouldn't be doing any of that, is my point. So you always have to look for the rainbow in the dark and the silver lining.
Obviously, a lot of people in reference cite the TLC Strange Addiction appearance. And obviously your career spanned much further than that. But obviously people have made arguments about My Strange Addiction being exploitative. There's obviously a fine line between exploitation and entertainment. How do you navigate this line and moving kind of past just being the person that had an appearance on My Strange Addiction, especially given the sensational nature of reality TV, as well as given your other appearances as well?
There are different reasons that different people do shows. And the one thing My Strange Addiction helped me with was that, okay, it's my quote unquote addiction, and I gave up my fiance for this, and that was a good thing, but I could make a career out of it. And I started to meet people that helped me, like my manager, Clinton Ford Phillips Jr. And because of him, Mae Wilson and I did 9 months in a show in Las Vegas where I was the star. Anyway, long story short, because of My Strange Addiction, I got opportunities to live stream on YouNow. I got opportunities to model. I got opportunities to make music. I got opportunities to write a book. And there were people that were like, wait a minute, you have some aptitude in this area. Let us help you. And so My Strange Addiction has helped connect me to those people. But sometimes reality TV can be exploitative. But if you're true to yourself and you're honest, I'm not going to say you don't have that problem, but you'll have that problem less.
Well, what I want to ask is, you had a book, April Unwrapped, My Naked Dreams Revealed, and you discussed confronting insecurities and body image issues in this book, which are quite important topics, I think, particularly for women. But how has your personal journey influenced this advocacy in this book for body positivity and feminist ideals? And what would you like to promote following the book that has happened since writing it?
Okay, girl, this is too deep. You answer this. Okay, Mae Wilson, everybody. I wrote that book because I used to have these dreams, and this is pretty funny, that I would be naked. My clothes would just vanish, and these were freaking me out. That I would be running, my clothes would vanish, I would be performing. And so I got the suggestion to do a book about it, and I never did a book like that before. My mother still hates it, in case you're wondering. But I think it's been good for me to do it because I had a lot of difficulty with myself, especially post breakup with my fiance, who was actually really mean. And so I didn't like myself. So it was kind of healing in that way. But also, we have this whole thing about what people should look like, who should be naked, who shouldn't, who should be sexy, who shouldn't. And so it goes with the burlesque theme that all bodies are beautiful and all bodies are burlesque bodies. And, and it leaves room for my body, but also, larger bodies, smaller bodies, and hopefully, queer bodies and disabled bodies in that conversation, that all bodies are unwrapped bodies and burlesque bodies.
How do you actually manage, interestingly, the psychological, perhaps emotional demands of channeling these specific characters? Especially when sometimes they do reflect very strong societal stereotypes or perhaps even controversial and triggering viewpoints for certain people.
every character has a personal object. All my puppet characters have a personal object. May Wilson has her picture of Anna Nicole Smith that she kept since she was a little girl in Pocadella, Idaho. Donald J. Tramp has the first $100 bill that his father gave him to get away from him as a child. Joe Bidentime has his certificate for public speaking from Catholic grade school in Scranton. Dwayne Newton has his prize from the Tri-County Fair where he won against Twyla the Satan Pig. And so I make them quote unquote real. But at the same time, I remember that they're quote unquote puppets and these are jokes. And so when I'm done with the puppet, I put the puppet away. I'm back to being April. And I also have a very full personal life these days. I have 2 nieces that I adore. And sometimes I get material from them. One is 5, the other is 2, and they are hysterical. I have a dog, Goldie, who has saved my life on so many occasions because I'm just crazy. And I just remember, okay, they're jokes. And sometimes the other thing too is earlier I said give time, because sometimes, you know, a character is not where you want them to be when you want them to be. But then sometimes, you know, you have to let them speak to you. And I know that that sounds really crazy, but I have a puppet character, Vinny, 2 times. And Vinny is a bad magician. And I was just going to make him a bad magician and he wasn't coming to me. But then I saw a special on the Mob. And the other way I manage myself is as I watch documentaries. I'm a dork. And I said, why is he a bad magician? Oh my God, he's in witness protection. This is not what he does for real. He hates it. And so bam, it'll come to you then. And so, but sometimes, you know, when people get triggered by comedy in general, it's their stuff. And social media has given us a world where everything's about us, unfortunately, all the time. And I've done it too. So sometimes you just got to know when to log off.
April, May Wilson, and the ever controversial Donald Trump. It's been an absolute delight having you all on the show. From political puppetry to holiday humour, you've left us thoroughly entertained and, dare I say, even a little introspective about the art of ventriloquism. For our listeners, be sure to check out April's holiday single, Merry Christmas, I'm So Glad I Didn't Marry You, and explore her other work from her books to her one-woman political satire show. This has been Jack Clark for Arts Express, wishing you a happy holiday season from here in the UK.
And that's all we have time for today on Arts Express, Expression in the Arts. And if you'd like to express yourself too, you can write to us at theradiogoddess@gmail.com. Until next time, this is Prairie Miller leaving the station. Welcome to Arts Express. This is Prairie Miller, and on the show,